Rev up your engines! Now this Camry is often mistaken for a Mercedes, like the one that's driving by. Because of this. He put this cool little ornament on it. But he only paid $2 grand for this car 100,000 miles ago. And he hasn't spent a fortune on it either. Just normal stuff. PCV valve, changed the spark plugs, replaced the alternator. It finally wore out at 200-something thousand miles. He's got 100,000 miles out of a car he only paid $2 grand for, and he bought it during the pandemic to top it all off. It's got the original fuel pump, original engine, original transmission, and even though he changed the alternator, as we look under the hood, look, and the lift support still works. He bought an AutoZone alternator and has a lifetime warranty, so he'll never have to buy another one. It's a 2005 2.4. These things can run forever. And this 4-cylinder engine is the notorious 2AZFE engine. There it is. And it does burn oil, the original engine. But it only burns about 1.5 quarts every 5,000 miles. Now he came all the way from Houston. He watches my videos and he's a do-it-yourselfer. He's done all the repairs himself. And you can see there's a lot of working room. If you do need to work on these, they're very easy to work on. Generally, you don't have to do much. Still got the original air conditioner, compressor still original and it blows cold, and it's got a special add-on. You can see these are the cheap AutoZone hubcaps. He's tired of them flying up, so he put a little twist tie to go inside the rim so they don't fall off. And he's done that on all 4 wheels. Check it out. They're not going to fall off now. And if you wanted, you could cut these and paint these silver too so it match, but he doesn't care. Let's see how many miles it's got on it. Are you ready? 316,827 miles on it. It's a cloth seat, but they're in pretty good shape. Even the center console here, a lot of times these wear out. That's not worn out either. You turn the AC on, it's still blowing freezing cold. He lives where I used to live, Houston, Texas. You need AC there, you do, believe me. As you can see, it's no myth that these Camrys can run forever. This even has the bad engine, that the piston rings weren't made right. But, I mean, if you burn 1.5 quarts every 5,000 miles, that's really no big deal for a car that's got 316,000 miles. I see GMs, Fords, Chrysler products, they're a year old and they burn more oil than that. So, even though these rings are worn, it still runs like a clock. Now, 316,000 miles. He got 32 miles a gallon driving from Houston to Tennessee here. So, it shows even though the piston rings are worn, it's still a very efficient engine. A car of this size that rides that nice, that still gets 32 miles a gallon on the highway. Now, he wanted more style, so you can see. He changed the headlamps just like I did my wife's Lexus. They're a lot nicer looking. He bought these beautiful headlights that work fine on eBay. Not 80 bucks a piece, not even 80 bucks for 2. He got 4 of them for $80 because his brother's got the same car, and he bought 2 sets for 80 bucks. That's the thing about Camrys. They made so many. There's so much aftermarket crap for these things. Okay, my wife's Lexus, it's got nice lights too, but they cost me 275 bucks a piece. Okay, this many miles, I gotta get my scan tool out and see what it says about this old thing. We just go on to the dash, plug it in, easy to get to. There it is. Now it's communicating. I realize one thing on these older cars, hey, it takes a while, everything's slower. Code for the engine, read trouble code. Catalytic converter is lower efficiency than you need. Now, I have to see it on these old cars. It's just old age. I had a customer in Houston that had one like this. I would reset it, and he'd get the car inspected, and after 5 years, he brought it back to me and said, I need you to reset it. And I looked and I said, no, I don't. It works perfectly fine now. And just changing the gas he bought, got rid of it, and then it passed the inspection without having to reset it. So, you really don't care. On an old car like this, you're going to get it inspected, just have it reset if you have an inspection. Here in Tennessee, no one cares, so you don't even bother. But in Texas, you just reset the thing and then drive it until there's only 1 mil not ready, then you can get it inspected. Now the other code is an airbag code, which he's had since he bought the car over 100,000 miles ago. Still got the same codes that he had on the paperwork when he first bought it. Open to short and ABS solenoid and low battery positive or abnormally high battery positive. So we know the ABS system doesn't work. Basically, this is an 18-year-old car. I don't expect ABS to work correctly anyways on a car this old. So you use your seat belts and you brake normally. On this car, ABS is an add-on system, so when ABS system stops working, it reverts to non-ABS normal braking. He was quoted $2 grand to fix it at the Toyota dealer. Needless to say, since he only paid $2 grand for the car, he doesn't care. They don't care if your ABS doesn't work in Texas for inspection, so he can legally have it inspected. Now we're going to look at live data. Here we go with all the live data. This is an older car, so we get in the new ones, but still, with this scan tool, you can see there's 97 points of data we can look at. That's still quite a bit. It gets good gas mileage on the highway, 32, so it doesn't surprise me that the short-term and the long-term fuel, it's running a little lean. It's adding 8% short-term and 6.9% long-term. Knowing these things, I'm assuming the fuel injectors with 300,000 miles and being the original ones don't spray quite right, so it runs a little bit lean. Now, he doesn't care because you get 32 miles a gallon on this thing. That's pretty good. If, and this is a big deal because I've seen it happen so many times, you attempt to fix this car running lean, you're no longer going to get 32 miles a gallon. I had a guy who swore he wanted to get it fixed. He didn't like it being that lean, cleaned all the fuel injectors, the MAF sensor and everything. And then I got it down to, it was only adding 1% fuel. So instead of adding like 7% fuel, it was adding 1%. So it wasn't running as lean. But he got worse gas mileage then. And he was mad. But I warned him ahead of time. I said, you're running lean, you're going to get better gas mileage. If you make this thing run the way it was, you're going to get worse gas mileage. And he did. He got like almost 1.5 miles worse gas mileage on a highway by me fixing his lean condition. Part of it is the MAF sensor. You can see it's 1.93 grams per second. This is a 2.4 liter engine. It should be closer to 2.4. But again, you're going to get better gas mileage this way. Yes, it's running lean. It's going to get a little worse acceleration. It won't be as fast as it was. We'll test that while we're driving around. But you'll get better gas mileage that way too. You can see here it's got no misfires, 0. Here's all the misfire counts. 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're all 0. All in all, for a 300-something thousand mile car, it's going pretty good. So let's take it for a road test. Now, you see it's an older car, so of course, it doesn't have a backup camera, and he took out the crappy Toyota and put in a Pioneer, which is going to sound better. Now, you can see it's a car, so it's not high up in the air, but it's not particularly low. And as old as it is, it's still a pretty quiet vehicle. I can hear a slight bit of wear on the wheel bearings, but I mean really, the thing's got 300,000 miles. You're going to get little noises here or there. But on the other hand, it's not creaking like an old Ford going around greasy. It's still a pretty quiet car. And you step on the gas, hey, it's still got some acceleration to it, even though it's running lean. And as old as it is, even though the ABS doesn't work, the regular brakes work perfectly fine. No, it still handles decent. They're not racing cars by any stretch of the imagination, but hey, they've got a nice cushy ride. And yes, it's just a little 4-cylinder engine with 300,000 miles, but we'll try our little drag strip here. Here we go. Now we'll floor it and see what happens. It actually burnt rubber. Hey, this thing still picks them up and puts them down, even though it's running slightly lean. It shows you why they can sell so many of them. And really, I love his little emblem in the front. It's too much. It does make it look like a Mercedes-Benz. And it was only $2. Now really, with this kind of mileage, over 300,000 miles, it still shifts good, original tranny, still runs good. Man, and get this, he's an Uber driver in Houston, so he drives it all the time. This baby is making him money. 316,000 miles, and he uses it for Uber. And he gives a tip to you Uber drivers. He used to do Houston Ubering everywhere, but now he just relegated himself to doing airport trips because highway miles wears the car less. He says he gets good tips, longer rides, not short, dumpy little rides, 2 miles here to baseball stadium and back. So if you're thinking about being an Uber, you might look into the airports in your area and see what kind of competition is going on there. Because even though this car is old, it can still go a long way. And the money he's pulling on that, considering he only paid $2 grand for the whole car 100,000 miles ago, he's making out like a bandit. I've seen many of these things with 500,000 miles on them, and they're still going. Yes, it has the oil burning engine, but it only uses 1.5 quarts every 5,000 miles. No big deal. I just can't resist. The $2 Toyota emblem he got from China. It took 3 months to get here on a slow boat from China, but it makes it look kind of like a Mercedes from far away. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.